everybody. Oh, let me just deal with this real quick. Okay, camera's all set up. Hey everybody, happy Saturday. I made it back. I'm here. As sort of not promised, but kind of promised. Here is the second video released on Saturday. So that's pretty cool. Today we're going to be making some renter-friendly art. Now, what that means is basically art that you don't have to hang up on a wall, meaning you don't have to get a hook or anything. And so from Kmart, there are these little mini easel and canvases. Let's get all three here. That I bought a little while ago, and I thought I'll try and paint some fruit, make it a bit of a series. And this is how they turned out. And I don't hate them, but I also don't love them. I think they're very detailed, and the issue with this size of canvas is it's very hard to get a lot of detail in there. Just with, I guess, brush size as well, paint strokes, and all of that. So I went back and I got another pack of 3. They come in packs of 3 from Kmart, not sponsored. I mean, there were a couple of issues with the wood quality for sure. Like the angle on one of the easels was a bit off, and there was a nail that was kind of sticking out. But yeah, they're very cheap, so you get what you pay for, I suppose. So I wanted to make another fruit painting, but I wanted to do a little bit less detail, slightly blockier, like a slightly bolder composition as well, a little bit less ornate. And so I sketched out these very angular fruit. So I did a watermelon, a kiwi fruit, and a bit of pineapple. I wanted that angled kind of look to them, and I wanted them to fill up the canvas more than the berries that I just showed you did, just to see if it would look better on the sort of the small size, I guess. And for the borders, instead of going with the checkered pattern on the previous one, I decided to go for an off-white color, which is quite dark. I put on quite a dark shade first, and I do all 3 at the same time to keep consistency. You'll see later that I make that color a little bit lighter because it doesn't quite work with the fruit. I don't know if this technique is called something. I'm just going to call it underpainting. But something I really love to do is to intentionally paint in a color that I know is not going to be the final color, and when I do a second pass over that area, some of the original color comes through because I don't fully get the coverage on the second layer, and I quite like that. And for the watermelon, I just did red straight out of the tube. And so in areas that I don't get all the different shades of the other paint strokes from on top, I get this like really deep, powerful red coming through. So yeah, I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna call it underpainting. Tell me if anyone knows what it's actually called. Yeah, so I ended up I had to lighten that color, and I had to do it for all of them because I wanted them to be a consistent set of 3. I sort of rendered out the watermelon, and I put a little bit of blue in there, and I wanted to do more colors, like more wacky colors that shouldn't necessarily be in there but look nice when you just got a bunch of random hues all working together to make up this sort of form of a watermelon. Maybe in the future I'll experiment with just like insane colors, because I've seen some fruit artworks and some vegetable artworks that just use every hue of the rainbow and they look so good. So I might try and do that at some point. And moving on to the kiwi fruit, the first struggle with the fruit and the background color being the same hit. And with the watermelon's very red, but my background color is nice and pink. And that really helps separate them. Whereas the kiwi fruit, it's just all green. And later, I went even further to lighten the border color because I need that sort of background color. I need it to be a bit more separate from the fruit themselves. So yeah, I added the skin to the kiwi fruit, just with a little bit of brown, and that helped a little bit to separate it. It also added another color in there, so it wasn't just green. And I'm going to move on to the pineapple now, and that pineapple was the hardest of all of them to get right. I ended up not super happy with my pineapple. So the issue with the pineapple, and the reason I had to sort of lighten all of the borders for all of the paintings, was that the color of the pineapple was yellow, and I wanted the color of the background of the pineapple to either be darker or lighter than the pineapple itself, so you could see the pineapple against the background, right? The issue was I was so limited by this border color because anything next to it looked weird. If I had the same value as the border color, then the sort of slightly reddish hue of the border color would clash with the very yellow hue of the background color in the inside. And so I said, I'm gonna just make the border color a little bit closer to white so that I can get a nicer yellow for the background color. And when I painted it again, it was also a lot more consistent as a color, and I'm much happier with how that turned out. So yeah, the pineapple was a bit of a struggle, but I came back later, fixed it up, and I feel a lot happier about the whole set. So yeah, that's my 3 little paintings. They didn't take too long to do, actually. They're quite, I would say these little canvases are quite approachable because there's not a lot of space to fill, but they can also be a little bit misleading because the size is so small. If your brush is a little bit too big for the size, then you might feel like you're not good at detail when really just the canvas is tiny. There's no perfect amount of detail you can put onto these things. They have their limits, I suppose. But here they all are. I'll bring them into frame. So here's that pineapple one I talked about, and yeah, I'm just much happier with how that second sort of came back at it a day later and looked at it and fixed it up a little bit. Here is the watermelon, and here is the kiwi fruit. And they have their little stands as well. This one's one of the crooked ones, I think. The little easels, which are quite fun. And so these can just be placed anywhere around the house, which is nice. No need for installing or hooks. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a look at these paintings and listen to me ramble about them, and the colors and whatever else I talked about. I will see you in the next one. Alright, take care.